If the holidays are approaching fast and your brain is already jumping to next year, this episode's for you. Not because you need to do more, but because this is the moment to set yourself up for success before the calendar flips. Welcome back to Gab Sessions with Stephanie Marie, aka Gabbie, where I help entrepreneurs simplify what feels messy, build aligned momentum, and grow brands that actually feel human. We're at the point in the year where the CEO sprint is wrapping up, the holidays are coming in hot, and a lot of people are either checking out completely or trying to plan an entire year in one sitting. I'm doing neither. And today I want to talk you through what I'm actually doing in a way you can follow along if you want to. I don't see the end of the year as a finish line. I see it as a transition. This is a moment where you slow down just enough to ask, what actually mattered this year? What carried momentum? What felt heavier than it needed to be? Before I think about goals, launches, or what 2026 is supposed to look like, I intentionally step out of reaction mode because clarity doesn't come from rushing, it comes from creating space. So this is where you get everything out of your head. The first thing that I do, and the first thing I'd recommend at a high level, is getting everything out of your head. I start with pencil and paper or pen and paper, and then I go with a mind map. Right now I'm using Miro app because one, it's free, and two, I like having a big visual space where I can move things around, zoom in, and see connections, but the tool itself isn't the point. You could do this in Canva, you can do it on paper, you can do it in a notes app, whatever works for you. And inside Business Growth Society VIP, I also have guided worksheets that walk you through this exact process if you want support. I'm not trying to make it pretty. I'm not organizing it yet. I'm brain dumping everything. Ideas, projects, responsibilities, things I want to build, things I want to simplify, and personal goals, trips, events, and other things that matter just as much as business ones. No editing, no prioritizing, no filtering, just clearing mental space. And I want to name this clearly for you. This is a mind map plus time blocking approach to creating your version of success. Not someone else's plan, not a rigid framework, just a way to see what matters, decide what comes first, second, third, and support how you actually live and work. There's no wrong or right way to do this. You just do it and it'll all start to fall into place. Don't let this overwhelm you. Getting it all out of your head and putting it with pen and paper. There's actually some psychology behind the mind pen and paper that is supposed to help relieve stress, confusion, and overwhelm. So do the process. It has there's psychological things that say that it's very effective. So just trust the process. Once everything is out of the head, I start grouping things into 5 areas so I can see patterns instead of chaos. Those 5 areas are business and revenue, content and visibility, systems and operation, personal and wellness, and then life, home, relationships, lifestyle. Everything belongs somewhere, and some things may overlap. If you're doing this alongside me, don't overthink it. Just place things where they feel closest. This step alone usually reduces overwhelm because nothing is floating around in your head anymore. Again, it goes back to the psychology of head, pen to paper. The next step, frame the year without locking it all in. Next, I like to zoom out, not to plan every detail, just to understand the shape of the year. So I ask myself what feels like first quarter, what clearly belongs later, what might take longer than I originally thought. Some things will stretch across months, some ideas will evolve, and that's okay. This isn't about control, it's about awareness. You're creating a container, not a contract. So I kind of spread everything out at a high level into 12 areas, okay? And then I focus on bringing it into quarterly and focus on the next 90, the 90 days segments and loosely map that out. And then I focus on the first 90 days into deep detail. Even though I map out the year, my real focus is the first 3 months. That's where the momentum is actually built. So I ask what needs to happen in Q1, and then I loosely structure Q2, 3, and 4. And when I say loosely, it's pretty solid, but we always have to be flexible for overflow, or what if we get things done faster than we thought in Q1, Q2 could roll into Q1, but it supports one another. Basically, Q1 will support the rest of the year, and what maybe doesn't get done in Q1 will roll over to Q2. You see what I'm saying? And so I do this for both business and personal life, because if my energy or your energy, health, or personal rhythm aren't supported, the business plan won't matter. It just doesn't. So if you're listening, this is where I'd encourage you to stop trying to solve the whole year. Just loosely map it out and then focus on the next 90 days, which would be Q1. And then the next step would be zooming in on, and this is how it becomes very real, and this is where everything starts to feel doable, as I think about planning, like zooming in on a map. First, I'm at the 10,000 feet. That's the big brain dump, and then kind of the 12 months of things. And then I look at kind of 5,000 feet, which is like quarterly priorities. And then 1,000 feet is the monthly focus. And then finally, ground level is like weekly plans and time blocks. So this is how I turn a big picture vision into something I can actually live 1 week at a time. And by the time I'm planning my week, I'm not guessing. I know what matters, and I know what moves things forward, and I know what can wait. So time blocking becomes very supportive instead of stressful in the situation. And why I feel this process works and works for me is this process keeps me from like overcommitting, reacting to everything, starting the year already exhausted, and it creates clarity before life speeds up again. And it allows for me to move into the next year instead of scrambling. And it allows for me to take on new projects if I want to. I always have room for other opportunities because I know where my free time is. I know where I might be able to insert something that maybe I wasn't planning. So it just gives me a really good roadmap or mind map to success. So before closing things out, I also like to take time to reflect on everything. So I'll look back at the year and say, what surprised me this year? What worked quietly that I don't want to abandon or change? What do I want less of? What do I want more of in business and in life? What maybe worked that I didn't see that it was working, but it really was working? Or what didn't work at all? So it helps me make better decisions moving forward by looking at all the data. And data is an amazing thing. And if you don't have data that you can quantify, then you need to start collecting data for the next year. So if you're listening to this and thinking, I want to do this, but I don't want to figure it out all alone, that's exactly what Business Growth Society VIP is for. Inside VIP, we go through this entire mind mapping and time blocking process together with structure, guidance, worksheets, and support. Some of us use my favorite planner, my PA planner. And so you're not guessing or second guessing yourself. You get the support that you need in mapping out the year ahead, or the quarter ahead, the month ahead, or even just the week ahead. And if now isn't the right time, that's okay too. You can take what I shared here, try it on your own, and come back when it feels right. No pressure, no rushing the calendar. So at the end of the year, it isn't about finishing everything. It's about choosing what deserves to come forward, what deserves to be left behind. And when you do that intentionally, you don't start 2026 behind. You start it grounded, clear, and already in motion. So until next time, here's to you creating your version of success.